At this time, we should be done with the adding integers quiz, and we're going to go ahead and start the notes. Today's date is the 2nd, and today's topic is subtracting integers. So yesterday we added, today we're going to be subtracting, and that will be on page 33. So then I'm going to go to page 33, remember it, and then write my title again, subtracting integers. Remember, you can always pause the video if you need more time to write it. However, please don't take the whole class period. You have an assignment after the video. All three things need to be done. Alright, so when we subtract integers, the main thing that we need to remember is that you add its opposites. We're adding the opposite. Adding the opposite. So whatever problem you have with subtracting, you're going to change the problem and make it into an addition problem. Because instead of subtracting, you're going to be adding its opposite. So, for example, if I have the problem -5 minus 3, instead of subtracting 3, I'm going to add the opposite of 3. So I would have plus -3. So my first step will be to keep my first number because we're not doing anything to our first number. My second step will be to change the minus symbol change minus to plus. So instead of subtracting, you're going to add. Step 3, you're going to change the second number to its opposite. So we're going to keep the first, change subtraction to addition, and then we'll change the second number to its opposite. So now we have an addition problem, which we have talked about this week, and we know how to add integers. So then step 4 is going to be to add. And you need to follow the addition rules. So remember, this is where you will use the scoreboard method or using counters, number line, depending on what type of numbers you have. Remember, we don't want to be drawing a lot of circles or a long number line. So my rules, really quick. If you have the same signs, you keep and add. Just like my song. If you have different signs, you subtract and your answer is whatever team won. So if your negative team wins, your answer will be negative. If your positive team wins, your answer will be positive. So different signs, you subtract. Write in signs here. answer is the sign of the winner, or the winning team. So let's look at example 1. -5 minus 3, which is what we had up on top. So my first step says to keep the first number. So I'm going to keep my -5. Step 2, we're going to change the subtraction symbol to addition. Step 3, we're going to change the second number to its opposite. So I have a 3 here, and it's positive. So the opposite will be -3. And then since I have two symbols here, I'm going to go ahead and put this in parentheses to separate my symbols. So now notice how I have an addition problem, just like yesterday. And remember when I said to pay close attention to your symbol in the middle? So since I have an addition symbol, then I can do my teams. My negative and my positive team. 5 is negative, so it's going to go on the negative side. 3 is negative, and it's going to go in the negative side. My winner is the negative team, so that tells me my answer will be negative. And then the negative team wins by 8 points. So this is when we have to add up our points to figure out the total amount that they received. So they got 8. The positive team got 0. So my answer is -8. Or also, same sign, you add and keep the sign. So we add our digits and we keep our sign. Example 2. -5 minus -17. So anytime you see subtraction, you know you do KCC. So that's one way to remember. Subtraction, KCC. Not KCF, KCC. So that means we keep the -5, which is my step 1. Step 2, we change subtraction to addition. And step 3, we change the opposite. We change the second number to its opposite. So since I have a -17, the opposite is 17. And now I have the same thing as yesterday. Now I have addition, so I make my teams. 5 is negative, so it goes in the negative team. 17 is positive, so it goes in the positive team. And then we can see that the positive team wins, so my answer will be positive. And the positive team wins by, we have to subtract and get 12. So the positive team wins by 12 points. And since the positive team wins, my answer is a positive 12. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and write 2 examples for you to do on your own. Example 3, we're going to do 6 minus -14 equals 8. Or actually, let's do this one together, because I want to show you a little trick. So first, always look for your operation symbol in between, which is minus. So then we ask ourselves, which strategy do we use? And we use KCC. I don't know why I put equals 8. It doesn't equal 8. So we're going to keep our first number, change subtraction to addition, and then change the second number to its opposite. So the opposite of -14 is 14. And now we have an addition problem. 6 plus 14. Do I really need to make my teams for this problem? No. I know what 6 plus 14 is. Those are the typical math problems that you get. So we're just going to add 6 plus 14 gives us 20. So my answer is 20. And now a little hint. Anytime you subtract a negative, you can make this into a plus. And by doing so, you just did the step KCC. So it's just a little shortcut. So anytime you have, and I'll put it up here, so you're subtracting a negative, it becomes a plus. So if you find that confusing, just stick to KCC. But if you can see these shortcuts, then you can do that. All right, example 4, you're going to do on your own. 3 minus 7. Go ahead and pause the video and work it out. Alright, so 3 minus 7, I'm subtracting, so my strategy is KCC. We keep my 3. Subtraction becomes addition, and the opposite of 7 is negative 7. And I'm going to write it in parentheses to separate my signs. And now I follow my addition rule, so I'm going to make my teens. 3 is positive, so it's going to go in the positive team. And then 7 is negative, so it's going to go in the negative team. And my negative team wins, so my answer will be a negative. And they win by 4 points. Because if we subtract our digits, we get 4. So my answer is negative 4. Now, one way to remember this, if you are subtracting 2 positive integers, however, the first number is less than the first, and typically, when we subtract, we need a larger number first. Otherwise, we can't subtract 7 from 3. If I have $3, I cannot spend $7 because I don't have $7. So that means, if I spend $7 when I have 3, I'm going to owe $4. So that is another way to think about it. Only if they're positive. So if they're positive, think of it that way. You have $3, and then you take away 7, which you can't because you don't have enough. That means your answer will be a negative, and then you subtract your digits. So just like, let's see, example 5. 10 minus 20. This is a little quick shortcut. They're both positives, okay? I have $10 and I spent 20. I can't do that. I can't have my first number be smaller than my second, so my answer is a negative, and then we're just going to work backwards. 20 minus 10 is 10. So that's an easy way to remember that. One more. 15 minus 18. My first number is smaller than the second, so that's not our typical subtraction problem. So if I have $15 and I spent 18, I'm going to end up owing money. And then work backwards. 18 minus 15 is 3. Alright, at this time, go ahead and do your practice for today. Make sure to read instructions. It needs to be done today.